So the House of Representatives narrowly passed Trump's proposed budget. It was 216 to 214, and there were 2 Republicans that actually voted against it. But in that bill, there's some talk that obviously the budget's not balanced. There's a lot of work that's going to have to be done in this country to balance the budget. But hopefully that'll something that will be tackled. However, a bit of good news is that the 2017 tax cuts, had allowed a lot of people to start businesses that really benefited the middle class, had also been passed. So there's a significant tax cut for those that are making less than $200,000 a year. Tax cuts really across the board. And if you study basic economics, this is something that's been known for many decades, that if you lower the tax rate, you actually have more economic activity, and the government actually generates more revenue if there's still, some form of taxes. That's because when people have more money, they invest it or spend it wherever they feel like they need to do. And like that generates the economic activity that then generates like the increased spending. You got increased sales taxes, you increase capital gains taxes, etc. So you have more economic activity, then you actually have the government actually collects more revenue. The income tax is really more than anything a tool of oppression. The higher the tax rate, the lower the tax revenue in the long term, because you're actually eating away the savings, you're eating away what would be investment. So any kind of tax cut is good news. There's a lot of little details to unpack. Obviously, like I said, there was an issue of the balanced budget. Well, the government's still spending money out of control. That's because we have an over-bloated government. We have a government that's involved in everything. DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, has started to cut some of that, but a lot more needs to be cut. I would suggest that there would be legislation that allows people voluntarily to pay, towards their own retirement. So you wouldn't have money being, forcibly taken away from people, in the form of Social Security or any of these other entitlement programs. I would just get rid of Medicaid as well. If private charities, they exist for a reason. If they want to do that, that's great. Government should not be involved in charity at all. It always ends up producing, stupid results, and it always costs more than it otherwise should, than it would be in the private sector. So, good news, but there's a lot more, detail to this. As they say, the devil's in the details, but the tax cuts are great news.